Hello, all my good friends. Thank you all so much for being with me today. Today, I wanted to do a video of how I bind my everyday journal. So I do have my signatures all ready to go. I do have 5 signatures in this set. And if you've been following along with me, you know that I have been working on this new everyday journal. So I'm really excited about getting this finished up and getting it in my shop for sale. So this is what we're going to be working on today. A few of you had asked to see how I binded these as a hidden binding into the everyday journal. So we are going to go ahead and get started with that. I'm going to set all of that aside. So what you are going to need is a piece of muslin cloth. You're also going to need a piece of cardstock. You are going to need to decide on your signatures, first of all, how many signatures that you have and your equal spacing so that it's going to fit correctly in the middle. So I grabbed a ruler, and if you look at the inside of my journal cover, it's roughly close to 4 inches wide. So you're going to need to cut your fabric that will be going in the middle. I went ahead and cut mine at 4 inches. So it's just a little bit wider than the actual spine itself. So what you're going to do with this is you're going to kind of create a sandwich. You're going to take your fabric, you're going to take your cardstock, and we're going to glue those together. What I highly recommend for this project is a glue called Fabri-Fix. You can also find one called Fabri-Tac. This I found at Hobby Lobby. You can get it at Hobby Lobby, Joann's, Amazon, probably Michael's, any kind of place that carries, like, this is a fabric glue. And I do use this glue for all of my anything that I'm going to be gluing. I use it for paper. I use it for everything because it really just holds up really well. And for this kind of a project, you definitely want something that is going to hold up and not come apart. So I'm just going to take the glue and go all the way around it. Also get in the middles, because you definitely don't want this coming apart. And take it, and I am going to just place it together. Just want to go over it really good, make sure it has a good bond. All right, so I also wanted to show you before we move ahead just a few other items that you are going to be needing as well. You need some scissors. You're going to need an awl. This you can get, I got mine off of Amazon. You can also find it at Joann's, Hobby Lobby, any place like this, because this is what you're actually going to use to punch your holes through your signatures to make the holes to sew it for your binding. So you're going to need that. And then you're also going to need some, this is just embroidery floss. People use a lot of different types of threads to bind with. Some people like to use waxed ones. For me personally, I've found that the embroidery floss works just fine. So I use that. And then you're also going to need a needle. So, and then also a surface to be able to punch your holes on. because you don't want to punch this onto a table or anything like that. Whenever you do it, it's gonna leave holes. So you want to make sure that you have something. This is just an old book that I've used to do that with. Let me set those aside. Okay, and next you're going to need a piece of fabric. You're going to be putting this fabric over top of your what you're going to be binding your spine to. And so this is going to actually be the inside of your book. Now, whenever you actually get it in place, you're not going to be able to see the sides of this because you're going to cover over the sides of this with fabric. But you are going to need to leave this out because all of this is going to get glued down. So you don't want to cut off these wings. You want to make sure that you have these wings. Let me go ahead and measure for you. I just eyeball this, but so mine is roughly about 8.5 wide. And then you want to make sure that you leave enough room on the top and the bottom because you're going to need to fold it over. And so the length of mine is roughly 11.5. So, because you're going to take it, you're going to glue it, and you're going to fold it over. So your back is going to look like that. And then when we're done, we're going to take and sew the edges. Now, if you don't have a sewing machine, that's okay. The glue will hold it. But for me, I just like to sew up the edges just to make sure that it's extra reinforced. So, and also whenever you're picking out the fabric to go on this, you're going to want to pick out something that you do enjoy or that you like, because whenever you do put your signatures in, you are going to see a little bit of it. You're not going to see a lot of it, just depending on how wide that you make your signatures. But as you can see, you are going to be seeing a little bit of it and a little bit in the front. So just keep that in mind whenever you're picking out your signatures. All right, so I have my fabric with my cardstock and my other piece of fabric. So as you can see, we're just going to lay it on top. So we're going to take our Fabrifix glue and just kind of like the stuff we did before, we're going to take it and we are going to start making sure that you get to the edges. And we are just going to glue all the way around. All right, so you're going to take that. You're going to take your fabric, figure out about where you want it. I didn't get quite up as far as I needed. There we go. All right, and then you are going to just take and smooth that out. You can use your hands, you can use your glue, really any type of thing that you have to just glue that down. This doesn't need to be ironed fabric either, because as you can see, gluing it down is going to take all the wrinkles out. All right, so now you have that. You're going to flip it over, and we are going to fold over the edges and glue those down as well. So I'm going to take my glue. I'm just going to go a little bit along here, put some glue, and I am going to fold over. Go ahead and go back and just add a little bit extra up here at the top. Right, and then I'm going to do the exact same thing here on the other side. up here at the top. So it stays down. And this glue does not take very long to dry at all. So there you have that part is done. I'm going to now take it to my sewing machine and I'm going to sew all along the top here, just a straight stitch with some white fabric, and all along the bottom. So let me go do that. Okay, I'm back and I have sewn just along, stitched just along the top and stitched just along the bottom. So you are going to end up with a piece like that. So again, if you open up your journal, you want to remember whenever you're doing this, you want to leave a little bit at the top there, as you can see at the top, and also as you can see there at the bottom. You don't want to actually go all the way to the bottom, but you want to leave just a little bit. So when we get ready, we will glue that in, and you're going to have a nice and secure journal. So our next steps are going to be to get this ready to do your binding. So you're going to need your template that you have. And mine are going to measure, let's see. Mine from my first edge is right about at an inch, and they're going to be close to about a ½ inch apart. So, and then my last one's going to be roughly an inch as well. You know, like I said, I am not precise on my measurements. If you are a perfectionist, you probably will want to handle this differently than I do, but this is how I do things. So just as easy and simple as possible. So you're going to grab your book, or, you know, if you have a mat that you can do this on, whatever is going to be easiest for you to work with. Okay, so at this step, I'm also going to grab a bigger paper clip and just kind of hold this together so that it doesn't move around on me. We want to make sure that it's placed correctly where it needs to go. I don't want it moving. So I'm going to take my template, and I have already actually punched the little holes in here just so I could see. But I'm going to go ahead and begin, and I am just going to start. And that is going to go through all of those layers. All of your sandwich, it's gonna go through. So I just wanted to show y'all, whenever you are pushing through, you really have to give it some strength. You want to make sure that you are getting through all of the layers, and then be careful that this is sharp, and so you do not want to poke yourself if at all possible. So you really have to push to make sure that you are getting it all the way through, because again, this is where your needle and your thread are going to go whenever you bind your pages. So you got to make sure that you get that all the way through. Sometimes it's easier than other times. You just kind of have to work at it. Okay, for the next step, I've also made another template. It measures the exact same size as my template to poke my holes. So what I've done is I have basically just folded this in half. I've just used a piece of cardstock, old scrapbook paper, folded it in half, and then I have marked my 3 holes. So I've already punched with my awl my 3 holes going through. Okay, so next what you're going to do is you're going to grab your signatures. Again, I have 5 signatures. so excited about this little book. It's gonna be so cute. So what you're gonna do is you are going to want to open it up, and you're gonna wanna secure it. You're gonna wanna make sure that everything is where it's supposed to be, that it's all lined up correctly to the best that you can. And you're gonna go ahead and you're gonna secure it. Then what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your template and you're going to put it in the middle. So this way you are going to know that these 3 holes are all going to match up with these 3 holes. So you're gonna do this step in every single one. So you're gonna wanna grab your book again, or whatever you're using. Make sure you have it lined up how you want it. And I may go ahead and just grab a paper clip and paper clip this so it just doesn't move around on me. Never gonna hurt to use extra things just to make sure that it stays put where you want them. All right, so then you're basically gonna just take it, you fold it in half. You're gonna take your awl and you're going to punch a hole through all of your pages, all the way through. Might take a couple of times just to make sure that you got it, that you're going to be able to see. If y'all can see there, my edge has gone all the way through. All right. So you're going to continue this step in all of your rest of your remaining signatures. All right, so now we can take our template off and we are ready to start binding our signatures into our spine. So grab your embroidery floss or whatever you decided to use. And I like to, as a rule, do about 1, 2, and maybe half. It's always better to have too much thread than not enough, because if you don't have enough, then you are going to have to start all over again. And that is never fun. So let's see if I can get this. This is the hardest part, getting your thread through the needle. All right, look. All right, so you're gonna pull it where you just have just a little bit of a tail. You're not gonna knot it, you're just gonna pull it like that. So now you're gonna grab your first set of signatures. And for this part, I do not want them moving around on me, so I am just going to add a couple of paper clips just so that they stay secure. All right, so you've got your first signature, and now you want to remember, you want to put these in the order that you want them in your book. So this is going to be, when I open my book, this is going to be what you see first. Okay, so what you're going to do is you are going to line them up. So that's what it's going to look like. All right, you're going to set that down for a second. You're going to take your thread and your needle. You're going to flip this over and you're going to come to your first middle hole and put your needle through there. You're going to pull up, and you want to make sure to leave a couple inches on the back. You do not want to pull this all the way through. All right, so we've got that. Now we're going to take our signature. We are going to go through the back of this. Y'all will have to bear with me for this part. All right, so you're gonna pull it. And again, you wanna remember not to pull too tight because you don't wanna lose your thread at the back all the way. All right, so then you can choose. You can go to the top hole or you can go down to the bottom hole. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and go to the top. You're gonna find your top hole on your binding. You're gonna put that through. All right. So once we have it all in, then we are going to make sure that it's really secure. All right. So then on the back, you can see that was your first hole that you went through. That's your second. You're gonna come and you're gonna go all the way to your bottom hole. And you are going to now go through that hole. Go up, don't poke yourself like I just did. All right, and then you're gonna find your hole on this one. I hope this is easy for y'all to follow along. I don't know how great I am at how-to videos, but I am giving it a shot. And this is a little bit different way to bind too. A lot of people actually do it the opposite direction, where you come up and you're gonna tie off in the middle on the inside. But for these books, I do like to do it so that the binding is a little bit more hidden. So you're gonna go back to your middle hole, put your needle through, and go back through. All right, so now you are to the point that you have it back through. You're gonna wanna make sure that your needle goes on the other side of your thread, that you have one on one side and one on the other, because you're gonna tie it. But before you do that, I'm gonna go ahead and slip my needle off and set it aside. I just wanna make sure that everything is tight and how I want it. So. All right, so I have it pulled tight. I'm gonna flip it over, and you are just going to make a couple of knots. Remember to make sure that both of your ends are on each side of that middle thread. Just gonna tie it off a couple times. All right, and then I'm not gonna clip these too short, but just take a little bit off. All right, so there you go. There is your first signature you have sewn in. All right, so let's go ahead and we will move to the next signature. I will do a couple with you guys so that you get the idea. I know sometimes, for me anyways, it takes a couple tries to always get down the exactly how to do it. So again, hold that out so that doesn't get in my way. Make sure you have your papers lined up. And I'm just gonna paper clip these together again. All right, grab my thread. Again, y'all know I don't really measure, so if y'all need to measure, go right ahead. See if I can thread this needle as quick as I did it the first time. Huh. That. All right, so you've got your tail, your short tail and your long tail. Okay. Again, you're going to move to the middle. You are going to find your second hole, which is right here. Gonna push your needle up through, pull your string. Remember to leave some. You're gonna grab your signatures. You're going to find that middle hole. Make it through all the pages. Which doesn't seem to be wanting to go. There. All right. You're going to pull. All right, then you're gonna find your top hole. Pull that through. And then you're gonna find your top hole in your spine. Going to pull that through. Y'all can see okay, see what I'm doing. All right. All right, check, make sure your tail is good. You're gonna go all the way to that bottom hole. Come up. And back through. Right, then back to the middle. The more signatures you get in, the more strings you have to work around and pages. That's okay. All right. Pull it back up. All right. So as you can see, you've got your first binding. And then you've got your second. Okay, so this is an example if your needle does not come up through. In the middle of this, all you do is you just put your thread under, and then you're gonna have both tails on both sides. So now again, I'm gonna remove my needle, set it aside, and I am going to tighten up my strings. All right, so I've got my second signature in. I've got my strings tightened. I'm gonna flip it over, tie the knot twice. And cut off some of that tail. All right, guys, I'm going to continue this binding process and get back with you whenever it is all complete. All right, guys, so I've managed to get all 5 of my signatures sewn in. So this is what the back looks like. It's a little bit messy, but that's okay. That's all going to be hidden. So, as you can see, I've got 1, 1, 2, gonna all run together. 3, 4, and 5. All right, so the next step is you're gonna take your journal, and so this is going to actually attach just like that. Remember how we started and we placed it on there? Well, this is how you are going to now attach it, and it's gonna fit in there just like that, snug as a bug. So super cute. All right, so now what you're gonna do, get all your little fray edges in there, and you are going to take your Fabri-Tac, and we are going to glue. So we're gonna glue all at the top. We are gonna go all the way down. Glue is your friend. Especially Fabri-Tac. This literally is like the best glue. Can't even tell you how great it is. Other than it's super great. So I hope this video has been helpful and that y'all have learned something. Like I said, I know I'm probably not the greatest teacher, but I know it's always so fun to get to learn something new. All right, so I am going to place this down the best that I think I am doing. Making sure that you're pretty even. And you are just going to push in that glue on both sides. And go open your first signature, and you are going to push in the glue. You're going to continue to do this through all of the middle of your signatures, just to really make sure that this is good and bonded down. So exciting to really get to see your journal coming together. These journals are really just really gorgeous. I can't even begin to explain to you how they feel. All right. So you can see there the top. And the bottom. All right, so your last step with this is just going to be to lift up these edges and really make sure that you get the glue in there and on these edges. Lots and lots of glue. Over. Glue it down. In these projects, you do go through quite a bit of the Fabri-Tac glue. And it is a little bit more pricey, but again, it is well worth it. So whenever you, after you do the front and the back, of course, this is going to be covered because I'm going to be covering this with fabric. So this you won't even be able to see. And I'm going to do the same on this front part. Remember, lots of glue. Because these you cannot sew down because this is already in your book. So there'll be no sewing for this step. So you want to make sure you have a generous amount of glue so that it stays in place. And there you have it, your hidden binding. And as you can see, all of your strings are hidden. So I hope that this little tutorial video helped y'all out. I hope maybe some of you were able to learn some new things about binding. Like I said, it's always fun to learn new steps, new things, and I'm gonna be getting this journal finished up. When I'm completed with it, I'll do a flip through here on my YouTube as well as some pictures on my Instagram page, and it will be for sale in my Etsy shop. So I'm looking forward to that and to continuing this journey along with you guys. Again, thank y'all so much for all that you do for my channel. Thank you for being my friend and subscribing and your likes and all of your such nice comments. I really appreciate it. So again, thank y'all so much. Think about doing something nice for somebody. And you guys have a great day. See you next time.